positive approach to life. And again, when the research studies have been done about health and outcome, people who think that they're healthy do better, even if all the parameters of their health by measurement and science aren't any better. If they think that they are better and healthier, then their outcome is better, even when the medical research is controlled for things that one does, like take their blood pressure medicine or exercise and change their diet. How someone thinks about their health has a bearing on their outcome independent of all the other variables. So what that says to us is that there's something about a positive mental attitude that is independently helpful. And so I think the first thing is to sit back over the holiday season and analyse and think about one's mental approach. One's mental approach not just only has an effect on what we do, but it also has an effect on how we interact with other people and how they perceive us and how they look at us and how they react to us and the decisions that they make about us. So it might be your boss or a colleague or someone you work with, family members. So if you're always negative about everything, then that has an influence not just on oneself, but on how they react to us.
It could even affect us getting that promotion at work.
It could.
A new relationship.
Also, what we say, we also listen to subconsciously, and our bodies react to what we say. And so I think it's important that we train ourselves to say the right things and say positive things, not to lie and say things that aren't actually true. I see this in patients all the time. I see people who think that the world has ended when something minor has happened, and they act on a negative trajectory about everything thereafter. And all their behaviours are negative and their actions are unhelpful to them and to others. And other people who under severe adverse circumstances take a very positive approach. And they see what's good about their lives, what's good about their current health status, what they can do. And they take control. So it's better, rather than being defeated by circumstances and by what's going on, to take a positive approach to life. But that also means to be prepared to make strategies to implement things, to be thoughtful. And so, you know, I've struggled in that a lot in my own life, to actually make changes. And if people in my office were with me, they'd be laughing right now.
I'm sure they'll be seeing this interview.
I hope not.
Okay, we'll keep it a secret from them.
And so with a positive mental attitude, one can then implement changes once they've thought through what strategies and objectives to implement, such as saying, I'm going to make sure I have so many hours off a week to relax and look after myself, or so many hours to spend in relationships, so many hours on exercise or something. Or to think about how one implements some program into their daily routine that's good for their health. But one needs to set back, have a think, discuss it with people, and then make some changes and be positive about it. So rather than being controlled by life, one has to then try and take some control. And I think this is important because it has a positive effect on your own physiology, but also on your own health behaviour. So that, I would think, is the first thing. The second aspect about thinking is, particularly in the emotional level, the very, very common and overwhelming problems are bitterness and unforgiveness, which are well recognised and well documented to affect one's health and one's relationships and one's behaviour. So I think the thing about forgiveness is that, I mean, this is not something you learn at medical school, but the thing about it is that people think that it's an emotion. I need to feel love, I need to feel that I want to forgive someone. But in truth, forgiveness is a decision. And so one needs to decide what they're going to do and say to themselves out loud, I choose to forgive so-and-so, And sometimes the so-and-so needs to be yourself.
That's true. Sometimes it's harder to forgive ourselves even than other people.
It is, I think.
Do you think that could be a hindrance for some people who are very good at forgiving others, but then they still have bitterness causing some health issues because of
I think bitterness does cause health issues. I was reading about this recently, and there is a direct connection between unresolved emotional issues and the immune system. Some very interesting research papers done about this. It's a very real issue. So I think we do need to discipline our thinking and train it. We need to brainwash ourselves, in truth, according to the ways that we think are healthy and helpful to think and to respond. It takes a lot of hard work. That's why so many Americans see shrinks.
That's true, it's very popular there.
It is.
Whereas here, sharing problems with family and community is the equivalent of a shrink, really, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it can be just as good. So long as it doesn't become a gossip fest.
That's true.
Just saying bad things about other people.
Because that can also affect our own health as well when we speak negatively about others as well.
I certainly don't think it does any good.
And as much as having a negative attitude or thinking towards ourselves has negative repercussions, also having a negative attitude towards others can still affect us personally and our health as well.
I think the other thing that doesn't help is panic, worry and fear. In fact, one of the studies I read was about people who had a panic disorder, and people with panic disorder had a very much higher incidence of allergic reactions to medications and other things. So they looked at this in several different ways, and it seems to be a consistent finding that people with panic disorders have genuine immune problems. So the connection's very real. I think the good news is we can train our own thinking.
So what are some keys to retrain our thinking? Because there's a lot of books and information out there about the power of our mind on our lives and laws of attraction and the power of our thinking on the effects of our lives. But what would be some suggestions on how some people can develop a positive mindset to kind of change their way of thinking if they're stuck in a rut, so to speak?
Sometimes we need to listen to what people around us say about ourselves if they're brave enough to tell us the truth. And we need to stand back and observe our own selves, and that's difficult to do sometimes. And then we need to actually take time to think about how we should think and how we should react emotionally to certain situations. And I think we should rehearse those situations in our mind before they occur, so that we're trained, like in a football team, you train people how to react to certain manoeuvres on the field. We need to train ourselves how to react in our interactions in life.
So what would be some examples of a positive internal dialogue that would help people be happier in their lives?
Positive internal dialogue to make people happier.
So this is very helpful to talk about the power of the mind, because often in the medical field the focus is just on the physical. So it's great as a foundation to talk about the mind, because the body is connected to the mind. So the way we think will affect, studies have shown, how we feel about ourselves, our emotions, and those emotions then affect our behaviour and our physical health. And so basically a very practical key to transform a negative thinking to a positive thinking would be to, as Dr. Bennett was mentioning, is to kind of assess your thinking patterns. What are you thinking about yourself? What are you thinking about others? What are you thinking about your environment? What are you thinking about circumstances? So for instance, instead of thinking, this isn't working, I'm a failure, You could write down some affirmations. I can do it. I can